No one prepares you for this part of life. The nights you stare at the ceiling, the mornings you wake up already tired, the pressure, the silence, the feeling that everything is working against you. Here is the truth most people avoid. Adversity is not here to break you. It's here to expose you, to show you what you're made of, or what you've been avoiding. And if you learn how to face it, not emotionally but deliberately, you don't just survive, you become unshakable. Adversity arrives without permission. It doesn't ask if you're ready. It doesn't care about your plans. It simply enters your life and demands a response. And in those moments, we learn something vital. We don't control what happens to us, but we always control how we meet it. Here are 10 ways we overcome adversity, not by force, but by mastery. 1. We separate what we control from what we don't. Energy wasted on the uncontrollable is energy stolen from growth. Every day, we wake up to noise. News headlines we didn't choose. Algorithms pushing outrage. Other people's opinions, moods, decisions. In today's world, it feels like everything is demanding our attention, yet so little of it is actually within our control. And that's where exhaustion begins. We stress about the economy. We replay conversations we can't change. We worry about how others perceive us. The problem isn't that we care, it's that we're investing our energy in the wrong places. We try to manage outcomes instead of actions. We obsess over reactions instead of intentions. We attempt to control people instead of ourselves. That effort doesn't make us safer. It makes us drained. Growth requires focus, but focus disappears when energy is scattered across uncontrollable variables. The turning point comes with awareness. We pause and ask a powerful question. Is this within my control? If it's not, someone's opinion, a past mistake, an external event, we release it. Not emotionally detach, but strategically disengage. What remains is where our power lives, our effort, our habits, our mindset, our response. That's the solution. We stop feeding anxiety with attention. We stop giving mental space to what cannot be influenced. Instead, we redirect energy into what compounds: skill building, health, consistency, integrity. This doesn't mean we ignore reality. It means we engage with it intelligently. We prepare instead of panic. We adapt instead of complain. We respond instead of react. And here's the hope. When we consistently focus on what we can control, clarity replaces chaos. Decisions become simpler. Confidence strengthens. Progress becomes visible. We realize something empowering. Life doesn't become easier, but we become steadier. And steadiness is what allows growth to happen even in uncertain times. By separating the controllable from the uncontrollable, we reclaim our energy. And that reclaimed energy, invested daily into the right places, quietly transforms who we become, one focused choice at a time. 2. We stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? At some point, life doesn't just inconvenience us, it hits. A setback we didn't see coming, a betrayal we didn't deserve. A door that closed just when we thought things were finally working out. In those moments, the first question rises almost automatically. Why me? It sounds harmless, even human. But in today's world, where stress is constant, comparison is endless, and bad news travels faster than hope, that question quietly traps us. Why me? Turns pain into identity. It keeps us replaying the moment instead of moving beyond it. It convinces us that we are unlucky, targeted, or somehow behind everyone else. The problem isn't the pain, the problem is staying there. When we ask why me, we hand our power to the past. We relive what happened instead of shaping what happens next. We scroll, we compare, we spiral, and suddenly one moment defines our entire narrative. That question doesn't bring answers, it brings paralysis, and paralysis is deadly to growth. The shift begins when we ask a different question, one that doesn't deny the pain but refuses to live inside it. What now? What now? doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means accepting reality as it is, not as we wish it were. It grounds us in the present. It forces movement. It returns responsibility to our hands. What now asks, what can I learn from this? What can I control today? What's the next right step, even if it's small? This question transforms suffering into direction. In a world where uncertainty is the norm, unstable careers, changing relationships, unpredictable futures, the people who grow aren't the ones with fewer problems. They're the ones who pivot faster. They don't waste weeks asking why the storm came. They start building shelter. They don't wait for closure. They create momentum. The solution isn't emotional numbness, it's emotional discipline. We feel the disappointment, then we act anyway. We acknowledge the fear, then we move forward anyway. And here's the hope most people miss. Every time you choose what now over why me, you reclaim authorship of your life. You stop being the victim of circumstance and become the responder to it. Over time, this shift rewires confidence. Challenges feel less personal. Setbacks feel temporary. Progress becomes possible again. Life doesn't stop testing us, but we stop letting tests define us. Because growth doesn't come from knowing why something happened. It comes from deciding what you'll do next. And that choice, repeated daily, changes everything. 3. We master our emotional reactions. Emotion is information, not command. In today's world, emotions are constantly provoked. A notification lights up your phone, a comment hits a nerve. A headline sparks fear or anger before you've even finished reading it. And before you realize it, you've reacted. Snapped at someone you care about. Spiraled in your own head. Made a decision you later regret. This is the hidden problem of modern life. We are emotionally overstimulated, but emotionally untrained. Most people believe emotions are orders. If I feel angry, I must act angry. If I feel anxious, something must be wrong. If I feel offended, I must defend myself. But that belief quietly gives emotions control over your behavior and over your life. Emotion was never meant to lead, it was meant to inform. Emotion is data. It tells you what matters, what feels threatened, what needs attention. But when emotion becomes command, wisdom disappears. The cost is high. Careers are damaged by emotional emails. Relationships fracture over impulsive words. Mental health erodes from constant reactivity. In a culture that rewards outrage and instant response, emotional mastery feels rare, almost unnatural, but that's exactly why it's powerful. Mastery doesn't mean suppression. It doesn't mean pretending you don't feel. It means creating space between feeling and action. A pause. That pause is where control lives. When anger arises, you don't deny it, you observe it. When fear shows up, you don't obey it, you question it. When sadness appears, you don't drown in it, you listen to it. You ask, what is this emotion trying to tell me? Is this moment asking for action or restraint? Will reacting improve this situation or worsen it? This practice changes everything. You stop being dragged by moods. You stop handing your power to other people's behavior. You stop letting temporary feelings create permanent damage. The solution is discipline of response. Breathe before you speak. Delay before you decide. Reflect before you react. This isn't weakness, it's strength. Most people never develop. And here's the hope. When you master your emotional reactions, life becomes quieter, even when the world is loud. Conflict loses its grip. Stress loses its authority. Other people lose the ability to control your inner state. You still feel deeply, but you choose deliberately. Over time, confidence grows. Trust in yourself returns. Your presence becomes steady, grounded, reliable. In chaotic times, that calm becomes magnetic, because while others are ruled by emotion, you are guided by understanding. Emotion gives you information. You decide the command, and that decision made again and again is the foundation of real inner power. 4. We embrace discomfort instead of escaping it. Resistance is where strength is forged. In today's world, comfort is everywhere. Food arrives with a tap. Distraction lives in your pocket. Pain can be avoided, postponed, numbed, or scrolled past. And yet, despite all this comfort, people feel weaker than ever. That's the problem no one wants to admit. A life built around avoiding discomfort slowly erodes inner strength. The moment something feels hard, awkward, or emotionally heavy, the instinct is to escape. We quit when things stop being exciting. We distract ourselves when feelings get uncomfortable. We look for shortcuts instead of skills. But avoidance has a cost. Unfinished goals, shallow confidence, a quiet frustration that whispers, "I should be stronger than this." Discomfort is not the enemy. It is the signal that growth is happening. Every meaningful change passes through resistance. Physical strength is built by strain. Mental resilience is built by stress. Emotional maturity is built by facing what you'd rather avoid. Yet modern culture tells you the opposite. If it hurts, stop. If it's uncomfortable, something is wrong. If it feels heavy, escape it. That message keeps people stuck. Because when you constantly run from discomfort, you also run from transformation. The solution is not to chase pain, but to stop fearing it. Discomfort doesn't mean you're failing. It often means you're on the edge of becoming someone new. The awkward conversation you're avoiding? That's where self-respect grows. The discipline you keep postponing? That's where confidence is built. The emotions you keep numbing? That's where healing begins. Strength is forged by staying present when everything in you wants to flee. This doesn't require extremes. It requires consistency. Sit with boredom instead of reaching for your phone. Finish the task even when motivation disappears. Tell the truth even when your voice shakes. Stay in the gym set when your body begs you to stop. Each small act rewires your relationship with discomfort. You learn this powerful truth. You can handle more than you thought. And with that realization, fear loses power. Here's the hope most people never reach. When you stop escaping discomfort, discomfort stops controlling you. Anxiety softens because you trust yourself to endure. Confidence rises because you've proven your own strength. Life feels steadier, not easier, but sturdier. You don't need life to be comfortable to feel secure. You become secure because you know you can face resistance without breaking. In a world addicted to ease, the ability to endure quietly becomes rare and valuable. And every time you choose discomfort over escape, you are forging a version of yourself that cannot be easily shaken. That is where real strength lives. 5. We reduce life to essentials. Clarity thrives in simplicity. Modern life is loud. Notifications never stop. Opinions pull you in every direction. The pressure to want more, do more, become more is constant. And yet beneath all that noise, many people feel overwhelmed, unfocused, and quietly exhausted. That's the problem few talk about. When everything feels important, nothing truly is. We clutter our lives with unnecessary commitments, endless information, and expectations we never chose. We say yes when we mean no. We chase upgrades instead of meaning. We consume faster than we can process. The result isn't fulfillment, it's confusion. A crowded life leaves no room for clarity. A distracted mind cannot hear its own direction. Simplicity isn't deprivation, it's precision. Reducing life to essentials means choosing what truly matters and having the courage to let the rest fall away. Right now, many people feel scattered. They wake up tired, not because they worked hard, but because their attention was everywhere. They feel busy, yet unaccomplished, connected to everything, anchored to nothing. The solution begins with subtraction. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every opinion deserves your reaction. Not every opportunity deserves your time. Simplicity starts by asking hard, honest questions. What actually improves my life? What drains me without giving anything back? What am I holding on to out of fear, not purpose? When you remove the excess, something powerful happens. Focus returns. Your mind becomes quieter, your decisions become clearer, your goals stop competing with distractions. This doesn't mean abandoning ambition, it means directing it. You simplify your schedule so your best energy goes to your highest priorities. You simplify your digital life so comparison loses its grip. You simplify relationships so respect replaces chaos. In a culture obsessed with more, choosing less feels radical. But less noise creates more depth. Less clutter creates more freedom. The hope in simplicity is this: when your life is no longer crowded, you finally hear yourself think. You stop reacting and start choosing. You stop chasing validation and start building substance. You stop drowning in options and start walking with intention. Peace doesn't come from having everything, it comes from knowing what is enough. Clarity thrives when distractions are stripped away. Purpose emerges when essentials are honored. And confidence grows when your life reflects your values, not society's pressure. You don't need a bigger life, you need a clearer one. And the moment you reduce life to what truly matters, everything else, stress, confusion, overwhelm, begins to loosen its grip. In simplicity, you don't lose yourself. You finally return to yourself. 6. We turn pain into discipline. Suffering without meaning is chaos. Suffering with purpose becomes power. Pain is unavoidable, especially now. In a world shaped by uncertainty, pressure, comparison, and constant instability, everyone is carrying something heavy. Loss, rejection, failure, loneliness, burnout, silent disappointment. Pain shows up whether we invite it or not. The real problem isn't pain itself, it's wasted pain. When suffering has no direction, it becomes chaos, it leaks into anger, it turns into numbness. It fuels addictions, distractions, and self-sabotage. People scroll, binge, lash out, or shut down, not because they're weak, but because they don't know where to put the pain. Unchanneled suffering destroys from the inside. That's why so many people feel stuck. They've endured a lot, yet grown very little from it. Not because they lack strength, but because pain was never given meaning. Discipline is where pain finds structure. Discipline doesn't deny suffering, it uses it. It says this hurt will not be wasted. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You ask, how will this shape me? That shift changes everything. Pain becomes fuel for consistency. Heartbreak becomes boundaries. Failure becomes humility and precision. Rejection becomes focus. Loss becomes gratitude sharpened by reality. Discipline is choosing to show up even when emotions beg you not to. It's training when motivation is gone, thinking clearly when you want to react, building habits when life feels unfair. This is how suffering turns into power. In today's culture, comfort is marketed as the solution to pain. Avoid discomfort, escape discomfort, numb discomfort. But avoidance only delays the lesson and deepens the wound. Discipline does the opposite. It walks straight into discomfort with intention. You don't need to enjoy the pain, you need to direct it. Wake up and move your body even when you feel empty. Keep your word when it would be easier to quit. Hold your standards when life tempts you to lower them. Turn emotional pain into physical effort, mental clarity, and personal structure. This doesn't make you cold, it makes you resilient. And here is the hope most people miss. The pain you are experiencing now can become the reason you are unbreakable later. Suffering with purpose builds self-respect. It creates inner authority. It teaches you that you can endure without collapsing. Eventually, something shifts. What once overwhelmed you no longer controls you. What once hurt you no longer defines you. You realize this truth. Pain did not come to destroy you. It came to discipline you, to refine you, to prepare you. When suffering is given meaning, it stops being punishment. It becomes training. And from that training emerges a quieter strength. The kind that doesn't need approval, doesn't fear hardship, and doesn't break when life applies pressure. That is power earned, not borrowed. And it lasts. 7. We refuse the victim identity. Nothing weakens the spirit faster. The victim identity is seductive, especially in today's world. Life is unfair. People do betray. Systems do fail. Opportunities are unequal. Those facts are real. But here is the problem. No one wants to confront. Living as a victim may explain your pain, but it will never free you from it. In a culture that rewards outrage, validation, and blame, it's easy to stay wounded. Social media amplifies suffering, turns pain into identity, and teaches people to collect reasons why they can't move forward. Every disappointment becomes proof that life is against you. Every setback becomes a sentence, and slowly something dangerous happens. You stop asking what you can do and start waiting for someone else to fix it. That's when the spirit weakens. The victim mindset drains energy because it places power outside yourself. It keeps you emotionally dependent on apologies that never come, justice that moves slowly, and recognition that may never arrive. It trains the mind to rehearse injustice instead of building strength. That doesn't make someone broken, it makes them stuck. The solution is not denial or pretending pain didn't happen. Refusing the victim identity does not mean excusing harm. It means reclaiming authorship of your life. Instead of asking, "Who did this to me?" you ask, "What can I build from this?" This shift is uncomfortable because it removes excuses, but it restores power. Power returns the moment you stop narrating your life as something that happened to you and start treating it as something you are responsible for shaping. Responsibility is not punishment. It is freedom. It allows you to respond instead of react, to adapt instead of collapse, to move forward even without closure. In practical terms, this looks like small, disciplined choices. You stop replaying old wounds and start creating new habits. You invest energy in skills instead of resentment. You focus on what you can control, your actions, your effort, your standards. You choose growth over sympathy. This is especially vital now, when economic pressure, comparison culture, and constant negativity make it easy to feel powerless. But strength is not born from perfect conditions. It is forged by people who refuse to surrender their agency, even in imperfect ones. Here is the hope most people never hear. You don't need life to be fair to become strong. You need to become strong despite life being unfair. The moment you drop the victim identity, something changes internally. Your posture shifts, your decisions sharpen, you stop shrinking. You stop waiting. You realize this truth: what happened to you does not define you, but how you respond to it does. Refusing the victim identity does not make you heartless, it makes you resilient. And resilience is the quiet power that allows you to rebuild, adapt, and rise again and again without needing permission from the past. That is how the spirit regains its strength. 8. We focus on daily execution, not outcomes. Victory is built in small, silent actions. One of the quiet frustrations of modern life is this: people are obsessed with results, yet paralyzed in the process. We measure our worth in numbers: followers, income, likes, timelines, milestones. We constantly ask, "Am I there yet?" And when the outcome doesn't arrive fast enough, motivation collapses, doubt creeps in, discipline disappears. That's the problem. An outcome-focused mind lives in the future while the work lives in today. In a world of instant gratification, this disconnect is painful. Social media shows finished products, overnight success stories, and polished victories, never the thousands of boring repetitions behind them. So when progress feels slow, many people assume something is wrong with them. Nothing is wrong. You're just looking at the wrong target. Outcomes are uncontrollable. Execution is not. The solution is simple, but not easy. Shift your attention from what you want to what you do, daily. Daily execution grounds you in reality. It removes emotional volatility from the equation. Instead of waking up asking, "Will this work?" you ask, "What's my next action?" This mindset is powerful because it makes progress inevitable. When you focus on execution, you stop negotiating with your mood. You show up even when motivation is absent. You build momentum quietly, without applause. And that's where real confidence comes from. Not belief, but evidence. Small actions don't feel impressive. That's why they work. Reading 10 pages, training for 30 minutes. Writing one paragraph. Saving a small amount. Having one difficult conversation. These acts rarely get celebrated, but repeated daily, they compound into something unstoppable. The modern problem is distraction. Attention is fragmented. People start strong, then drift. They wait for inspiration, clarity, or certainty before acting, and end up waiting forever. Execution cuts through that noise. It teaches your nervous system that progress is safe, predictable, and earned. It reduces anxiety because your focus narrows. You stop carrying the weight of the entire future and instead handle the present with precision. This is especially hopeful in uncertain times, when careers feel unstable, goals feel delayed, and comparison is constant. You don't need to know how everything will work out. You only need to execute today's task with integrity. Here's the truth most people miss. Victory is not loud. It doesn't announce itself early. It's built when no one is watching. By the time the result shows up, the work is already done. When you commit to daily execution, you stop being fragile. Bad days don't derail you. Slow weeks don't discourage you. You trust the process because you are the process. And eventually, something remarkable happens. The outcomes you once chased begin chasing you. Not because you obsessed over them, but because you honored the small, silent actions that make success unavoidable. That is how victories are built. Quietly, relentlessly, daily. 9. We accept impermanence. This moment will pass, so we endure with dignity. One of the hardest truths to accept in modern life is also one of the most freeing. Nothing stays the same. Moods shift. Relationships change. Opportunities rise and fall. Stability feels temporary. And in times like these, with uncertainty in careers, rising costs, and constant global tension, many people live in quiet fear, trying desperately to hold on to what feels safe. That's the problem. When we cling to permanence in an impermanent world, suffering multiplies. We panic when things go wrong because we believe the pain will last forever. We spiral during hard seasons, convincing ourselves that this moment defines our entire future. Anxiety grows not from reality, but from the belief that this is how it will always be, but it isn't. Everything passes, including this. Accepting impermanence doesn't mean becoming cold or detached. It means becoming grounded. It teaches the mind to experience life fully without being consumed by it. Without this understanding, people resist change, fear loss, and fight reality. They numb themselves with distractions, chase control, or break down emotionally when life shifts unexpectedly. The solution begins with a quiet realization. If joy is temporary, cherish it. If pain is temporary, endure it. Impermanence gives pain an expiration date. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you remind yourself, "This will pass, and so will I, stronger." This perspective transforms endurance into dignity. Dignity means holding yourself steady, even when life feels unstable. It means responding instead of collapsing. It means refusing to let temporary circumstances turn into permanent bitterness. Practically, this looks like breathing through discomfort instead of panicking, making thoughtful decisions instead of impulsive ones, staying aligned with your values even in chaos. When emotions surge, you don't deny them, you observe them. You let them rise and fall without letting them rule you. This creates emotional resilience, not emotional suppression. In a world addicted to immediacy, impermanence restores patience. You stop rushing healing. You stop forcing outcomes. You stop demanding clarity before it's time. And here is the quiet hope most people overlook. If this moment can pass, so can the version of you that is struggling. Hard seasons don't last, but what you build during them does. When you endure with dignity, you gain something permanent from something temporary. wisdom. You learn that you don't need perfect conditions to remain composed. You discover that strength isn't loud or aggressive, it's calm persistence. You realize that life doesn't require certainty to continue moving forward. Impermanence teaches humility in success and courage in hardship. You don't cling when things are good. You don't crumble when things are hard. You stand steady in both. And one day, you look back at the moment you thought would break you and realize it passed. You're still here. Stronger, wiser, more grounded. That is the power of accepting impermanence. This moment will pass. So you endure, not with despair, but with dignity. 10. We become someone adversity can't destroy. Not hardened, refined. Life has a way of testing us, especially now, in a world moving faster than we can keep up. Uncertainty is constant. Careers are unstable. Relationships fracture. News cycles amplify fear. The pressures of modern life hit relentlessly, often when we least expect it. And the truth is, everyone feels the weight. The problem isn't adversity itself, it's how we let it shape us. Some people harden. They become brittle, defensive, and rigid. They build walls to survive, but those walls isolate them. Every challenge becomes a reason to retreat. Every failure becomes proof they cannot endure. Pain becomes armor, but that armor comes at the cost of connection, trust, and inner peace. But there's a different path, one far less obvious, yet far more powerful. We can choose refinement over hardness. Refinement doesn't mean avoiding difficulty. It means leaning into it, facing discomfort, disappointment, and chaos, and letting each experience polish, not scar, your character. Adversity stops being an enemy when we stop resisting it. The first step is awareness. Notice how challenges affect you, your reactions, your words, your energy. Identify patterns where hardship pushes you toward fear, blame, or withdrawal. That's your starting point. Next comes action. Refinement is a practice, not a moment. You reflect instead of reacting. You respond with calm instead of chaos. You learn lessons from failures instead of reliving them. You set boundaries to protect your energy, even under pressure. In this way, adversity becomes a sculptor. Each challenge shapes your patience, discipline, empathy, and courage. You become stronger, not rigid, but resilient. Not defensive, but discerning. Not bitter, but wise. The solution lies in perspective. Hardships do not define you, your response does. Even in a world that constantly threatens to pull you off balance, you remain anchored. When relationships falter, work falters, or life feels unfair, you don't collapse. You endure, you adjust, you grow. Here's the hope that's too often missed. Refined strength is invisible at first. It doesn't shout or boast. It shows in how you handle minor irritations, disappointments, and daily struggles. Over time, it accumulates. A calm mind, a steady heart, a confident presence. Adversity may challenge you, but it cannot destroy you, because the person you become is forged through struggle, tempered by patience, and polished by reflection. Not hardened, refined. And that is the quiet, unshakable power that life's tests can never take away. You emerge not unscathed, but unbreakable. Adversity strips away illusions, ego, comfort, false confidence. What remains is truth. And if we meet it correctly, with calm attention, inner order, and discipline, we don't just endure hardship, we rise above it. Because the strongest person is not the one who avoids storms, but the one who learns to walk through them without losing themselves. Adversity will visit every life. The question is never if, only how we respond. Will we react blindly, or respond with control? Will this moment define us as broken or forged? So I ask you, what adversity are you facing right now, and who are you choosing to become because of it? Tell me in the comments. We're walking this path together.